you said that you and your brother and your mom went to Norfolk, Virginia
Mm-hmm.
to say goodbye to Richard as he was going to go on this cruise on the Scorpion. And you said that Richard had a sense of foreboding or something, or?
You could tell he was preoccupied. The boys spent a lot of time together. There was only 18 months difference in their age. And they spent a lot of time together visiting where the rest of us, Donna was expecting, their second child was born 2 weeks after we found out all this.
This is Richard's wife?
Yes.
I didn't know. I didn't know he was
Had
married.
a 4-year-old son, and she was expecting Chris. Chris was born on the 17th of June of 68. And so we were all up there. Like I said, we were having sort of a reunion because, like I said, the boys had not seen each other. And with Richard fixing to deploy out to sea again, and Robert in Saigon, this was the only opportunity we had to get up there and actually be together for the first time in about, it's been about 3.5 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Scorpion then goes from Norfolk to, is it Spain?
Yes, Rhoda.
Rhoda, Spain, spends some time there, and then is on the way back, coming west across the Atlantic back to Norfolk. Is it May 68?
Yes. In fact, from what my sister-in-law had told me, they had actually gone down the week before expecting the crew to be in.
Do you remember?
And the family was all out, all out waiting for them. And the Navy just came out and said, they're not coming back in. It will notify you again when they're supposed to. Like I said, over the years with the reunions and information that everybody has talked about, she was due to come in, but she was ordered back out because something had happened that she needed to go and look at, as far as we knew.
The Scorpion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because she was the closest one out there to whatever was going on. Now, there's been all kinds of the stories. They've talked about information that other people have gotten about Russian subs.
Right. So let's pause here. So I remember that if I have this correctly, there was a message transmitted from the Scorpion said that we anticipate being, at Norfolk at 1 p.m. on May. What was the date? Do you remember what?
I don't know when she was first due. I think it was May the 21st or somewhere at that point. She was supposed to be, was the first time.
So she's scheduled to, and then you say that then she was diverted to, the sub was diverted to go do another mission, but now it's on the way back to Norfolk.
Yeah, they were.
The family members are notified, and so there they are waiting for the Scorpion to show up. The Scorpion doesn't show up. The folks are told to go home and they'll be notified.
Right.
So we know now, of course, that the Scorpion, went down in, if I have it right, about 10,000, 11,000 feet of water.
Right.
About 100 miles south of the Azores, if I have that correctly.
Right.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of alluded to one of the theories out there about, one of the theories out there on, why the submarine sank. And there are a number of different theories out there. What is your own thinking? Is there any particular theory about why the submarine sank that makes the most sense to you as you've thought about this for over 50 years now?
To me, the crew was so well trained. As far as the teamwork, because being in that type of situation and being around other submariners and stuff like that, they are such a close-knit family as far as what they do. Now, they might not all socialize outside and stuff like that, but together working aboard that ship, they depend on each other for everything. And the scenarios, you know, sometimes you'll read, I mean, there's been 3 books published that I know of that anytime something comes out, somebody tells me I'm going to read it, I want to know. You can, one moment you can go from it wasn't ready to go out. To me, it's a combination of everything. They were operating in a Cold War situation that, and protecting us. The theories with different things, you know, there was also the deal with a Russian sub in the Pacific that was sunk, that was alluded to the fact that the Russians thought we did it, so now they were retaliating with something else. The rumors and everything that has flown and has gone on, I think every member of the families that you would talk to, you know, we really don't know what to think. We do know that she wasn't ready to go out. Even my brother was trying to talk to somebody, an old family friend at General Dynamics, because he wanted enough information to repair whatever it is they needed to repair.
Yeah, so one of the things that, I mean, I think everyone agrees to, at least, you know, based on what I've looked at, is that the submarine had a lot of maintenance issues.
Yes.
And it had actually been scheduled for, I don't know about dry dock maybe, but it had been scheduled for significant maintenance, including dry dock, but that had been pushed off. And so everyone agrees on that the submarine had significant maintenance problems before it went on this cruise.
Now, they also talked about a torpedo activating.
Right, and so this is another thing. Some people say, and correct me if I have any of this wrong, one thesis is that a torpedo exploded within the submarine. Another thesis is that a torpedo was actually shot and then went looking for a target, and the target ended up being the Scorpion itself. Do I have that right?
Yeah. Now, yes, we've heard those theories too, and
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of paperwork as to what has gone on with those type of torpedoes and the usual yada 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 on that stuff.
Yeah.
The things that I have gotten through the years as far as pictures and stuff like that are the facts that it's alluded to being in pieces to it's actually in just 2 pieces. Now, if a torpedo went off inside the sub, if they could not have gotten it off in time, it would have been definitely in more pieces than what they thought. And from different things, like I said, we have seen or gotten, it's actually in two pieces. You know, we had got, you know, I'll be truthful with you. We got rumors that she was boarded, the crew was taken off. We got phone calls from people. I mean, we were harassed with, you know, I had gotten phone calls from some woman saying my brother never got on the boat. He was with her. I mean, we were just inundated with all kinds of different things.
So then
the rumors keep flying, you know.
But this drives home the point then that you were making earlier, that, you know, you showed me the government document you have.
Yeah.
That your sense that, you know, you've got all these theories, all these rumors about what happened to the submarine, but it sounds like your sense is that the government knows what happened, but hasn't made that information available. Is that right? Is that what you think?
That is correct. In fact, even as we speak, we have been still in communication with the people that have organized these reunions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And even as of last year, right before Thanksgiving, we had received a message that had told us that there was still going to be information coming out about the submarine, that the Navy was going to release more information as to what happened. With the Scorpion, whenever she went down, of course, again, the height of Vietnam War and stuff, and then shortly after that, Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated, so that took over the news.
Right.
Everything was put in the back burner. I know, and other family members know, that we're not gonna get our family back as far as that's concerned, but we would like to have answers.
What responses have you gotten? And let me just tell you, as I've spoken to others who have lost loved ones in war who are still designated missing, what you're saying right now sounds very familiar. They have this sense that the government agencies have the information that would tell us what happened, but they won't tell us, right?
Right.
If and it sounds like that's your belief as well. What reason, why, if this is the case, why would the government still be holding on to this 50 years later and not just laying everything out?
That's the part that I really don't understand is why after all this time that it would still be that important to hold on to. Again, if it's still classified, I would still have to think that it has to do with national security.
Have you been told that? What have folks from government agencies actually told you as you've made inquiries? What messages have you actually received?
That information is still classified.
They've told you that?
It's not ever been declassified. The whatever reports we've got are slowly little bits and pieces of stuff that have been declassified, and yet still no answers to anything.
Yeah.
No,
Richard's status, is he classified as, what is his classification? Is it still missing? Is it buried at sea? What's the classification?
well, they declared him missing in action in order for the dependents and everything to start getting the benefits and whatever help that they needed to get.
Okay.
But yes, they were finally classified as gone.
As buried at sea?
Yes.
I see.
Yes. But, the other thing on that, Preston, is again, like I said, it was just my mother and I here. We never had a service for my brother.
Yeah.
So back in November of 2013, we actually finally had a service here in Little Rock with the help of the USS Razorback here, and the vet squad down at the vet submarine squad down there from the USS Razorback. Thank goodness for the submariners and the USS Razorback here.
Yeah.
We had done as I know Bob has told you, we had done a memorial thing down there. They gave us the concrete pallet down there to do it, and I wanted to make it for not just Richard, but all the submariners that are out there.
Yeah.
From all the wars that are still out there.
Mm.
Yeah.
You said you didn't have closure. Is there anything that you think would give you a sense of closure?
this point, I don't know if it would be the Navy coming forth and saying, hey, this is what actually happened. We couldn't explain it to you then, but this is what it is now. For us to actually say, it's that unanswered question. I think, again, it's like for anybody else that has somebody missing. I think it's just that nagging question in the back of your mind is to
what happened?
What? And trying to find out what that answer is.
More than 50 years past now. How much of a presence, I mean, obviously, as I'm speaking to you, obviously it still affects you profoundly, and that makes perfect sense. How much is this sort of a daily presence? Just is this kind of a continuous presence somewhere in your mind? Of course, you're focusing on other things, you're talking about other things, you're living your life, you're busy doing a lot of things, but is this something that it's always kind of there? The way I think of it as, kind of something that's always sapping a little bit of psychological energy, always sapping a little bit of spiritual energy. Is it like that? How would you explain this to someone who has no way really of understanding what it's?
Yeah, for me it is. I mean, it's not that you dwell on it on a constant basis. It's the little things that might happen. Somebody might ask you about him. You might see something. You've had a dream the night before, or somebody in passing, an old classmate that you might see, or somebody that's passed away that went to school with them, because we all went to the same school and graduated from the same high school. So back then, everything was so much smaller. So even the kids in the younger class knew everybody. Everybody knew everybody's brothers and sisters. And so with the passing of different people, it's always there at the back of your mind. I can't see anybody in the military, even the young people coming out, without having all of that brought back. I have a sense of pride for everybody that has served, who is out there giving it their all, because I still feel that it's very important that when your country needs you, you need to go. Mm. So I'm proud of both my brothers. I'm proud of Bob. I'm proud of my dad, his dad, and everybody out there. But I see the toll that it's taken on them also.
You said that before Richard went out on this last cruise, on the Scorpion's final cruise, that he seemed preoccupied. Mm-hmm. Looking back, do you think that's because he was concerned about the condition of the sub, or do you not know why he was preoccupied?
I really do. From what I could understand, before Richard went out on this, whatever he was anxious about, it was enough for him to cash in savings bonds and actually make sure everything was paid up before he left.
Wow. Because as you said earlier, he had, if I remember correctly, a wife, a child, and another baby on the way. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
So that combined with, the fact that two other sailors just refused to go on this cruise.
Right.
And my understanding, I've heard one of them in an interview, and he just said that ship was not, effectively, he said that ship was not seaworthy. So you put that together, and I think, that's pretty decent evidence that the guys aboard, certainly that one, then you have this other who refuses to go on the cruise, and then you have Richard, who seems to be pretty anxious about this cruise. That seems pretty strong evidence that the guys serving on this sub didn't think it was ready to go.
Right.
Yeah. Tell us about Richard the person. What was he like?
He was, to me, happy-go-lucky.
He must have been quite bright to do the job he did in the Navy.
Huh?
He must have been quite bright to have the job he had in the Navy.
When he applied himself, yes, yes. Richard loved baseball. He was a left-handed pitcher, and he was well known for what he was doing, and as far as playing ball. We grew up going to the ball field constantly. He played some football in high school also, but baseball was his mainly sport. But Richard was, to me, of course, you have to realize I'm little sister. I idolized my brother.
Mm.
My other brother picked on me, so
Robert.
The only one that protected me was my older brother. So, he just really was. He did. Once he was, as far as being out there, when he joined the Navy, he was in the reserves in '62. He actually went in '63. I think you've got a picture of his swearing in. When Richard actually was assigned to the USS Scorpion, I believe it was on his birthday when he turned, I believe it was in 60, I want to say 65. It could have been sooner than that, but I believe it was February 12th. Richard had just turned 23 when they were on this last mission.
Mm.
I think the youngest sailor was actually 19.
Wow.
In fact, I communicated with that sailor's dad for many years until he passed away.
Wow.
So.
Did you experience, what I think probably a lot of folks in this kind of situation experience, and that is sort of just kind of hoping for a time that someday Richard would just show up?
Every day.
How long did that go on?
Oh, I can't even, thinking back, knowing that they couldn't survive underwater very long, that was, the time period for that to come and go and pass was fine. Like I said, when the rumors flew about maybe, they had gotten captured and were taken off, that just fueled the fire as to thinking, at least they're alive, they're somewhere, a possibility of maybe at some point they were going to come home. It's like a POW. Maybe at some point they were going to come home.
Yeah.
I think it's always in the back of your mind. I mean, and hoping maybe that even for some odd reason that they couldn't come forth at this point to sit there and say, yes, we had to get off, but we never could tell you about it. For some reason, again, there's always just that hope.
Yeah. Because
you don't know what's happened. You don't have that final answer. Even though nothing's going to bring them back, it's just knowing that final answer.
Mm.
So
at some point that just kind of, hoping that, someday he'd show up. At some point that just went away.
Yeah, it fades, but again, still wanting to know the answer.
I'm thinking about when this happened. This is, May 1968. 1968 was a really hard year. You've
It,
got the Tet Offensive. You have President Johnson says he's not going to run again for office. You have the assassination of Martin Luther King, the assassination of Robert Kennedy, riots in a lot of the cities. Another incident that's much forgotten now, but the Pueblo incident in related to a Navy ship in North Korea. So the government is dealing with a lot of crises. The military, of course, has this massive crisis of Vietnam on its hands, and then the Pueblo incident and other things. When word got to you and to your mom and to other family members, looking back, do you feel like the military was able to, really reach out in a way? Or I mean, when the information came, you mentioned this phone call that you got, but I'm sure there must have been other communications in those first months. I mean, how do you think that went in terms of the Navy communicating with the family?
I think on the early part of, as far as the first week, 2 weeks or so, as far as they were giving us updates. Again, being here in Arkansas, and like I said, I haven't talked to my sister-in-law. I'm sure they got better updates than we did here. And like I said, my sister-in-law was, at that point, she was having a baby. Her parents were up there taking care of her, and at that point, the two children. We just got bits and pieces here for my mom. I think there were things that they didn't communicate to my mother that, as far as like the service they held, they had a service there in Norfolk. And years later, we found out that if my mother wanted to be there, there would have been some kind of arrangements for her to be there, but nobody told her, or nobody told us. And so again, like I said, she never had that closure for that type of thing. And like I said, when we had the service, I'm not saying that was closure for us either, because I don't know if I can ever have closure without them telling me this is what happened.
Exactly.
But it gave us a sense that we were honoring Richard with something personal from us that we could participate in. I really think that the Navy kind of hoped that let's just put this aside and forget about it, because it's not something they wanted to talk about. And even the years later of different senators and trying to find out and stuff like that, it's not something they want to talk about. I do know that there were recordings of the submarine as it went down, the acoustic recording of the submarine as it went down. I'm sorry, I have to put it this way, what they actually called the death throes of the submarine.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand until they might not now, they used that for years as training for other seamen to listen to, as to yes,
to interpret the sounds.
Yeah, and for training on that type of thing.
Mm.
So again, I still feel like with that in mind, I feel like there might have been more that they knew about. The fact that she was turned around, there was something going on out there. There was a lot of Russian activity.
You're referring to that the submarine was going west, and then if I have the details right, the submarine is heading west from Spain to Norfolk.
Right.
The underwater buoys pick up an explosion, and then immediately thereafter, then the submarine begins to head east. Is that right?
Yeah.
And so the question is, what was that about? And I guess one answer to that is that would make sense if a torpedo had gone out of the sub, and then this was a diversion to get away from the torpedo as it sought a target. I don't know if that's correct.
Well,
but
I think in a lot of that, when you talk to some of the family members, it wasn't our torpedo.
right, yeah. So this is one of the ideas out there that it actually was. You mentioned there was a Russian sub in the Pacific that went down, and so one thought is that this was
A retaliation.
Soviet retaliation
Mhm,
on American sub.
mhm,
So
mhm.
you just, I mean, so what might bring closure for you then is having a definite word.
Yeah.
How did all this affect your mom?
Mom didn't do real well. Back then at 18, I had I went from graduating that night to pretty much the first probably 5 or 6 months handling everything.
Hmm.
It was devastating for her. Like I said, my parents had divorced in '66, and it was just me and my mother, and we were so extremely worried about Robert in Saigon, knowing that what Richard was doing was it. We figured he was safer. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
That when all this happened, it just, for lack of anything else, just blew up our world, because Robert was the one we were worried about with all that was going on in Vietnam and how safe he was going to be.
Well, Susan, I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for telling us about this experience about Richard, and uh, and we'll just hope that, as you've indicated, there are a lot of different theories about what happened to Scorpion, and we'll just hope that eventually those questions will get answered, and we'll know for sure.